right, put in the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, they kicked it around every once in a while. Yeah. They brought that up. All right, evening, everybody. Evening. Gonna call to order. This is the September meeting, the regular meeting of the Smithfield Township Planning Commission. Oh, we got a nice corner room. I'm not sure if good or bad. We're gonna see here shortly. All right, did we get all, there you are. Got all the members, with four of us, we have a forum today, we're good. All right, I don't think we don't have minutes, right? We did not get them, we'll do them in October. All right. Now, old business, we're gonna take care of this first. The 3 Point Garden Estates major subdivision, this is off Franklinville Road. Earlier this afternoon, there was a request to table that. I'm gonna make a motion, we move that to the October regular meeting. Seconded by Doug, hang on. Seconded by Doug Schreiber. All in favor? All right, now, gentlemen.
I would just like some clarification on like what's going on with it, because I'm kind of in the dark, like I don't really understand all of it.
Okay.
But also I have like a lot of concerns about certain things, so I don't know when is the right time to bring that up.
Well, I can tell you this, the developer on this project, let's get back to the second time they asked for it to be bumped.
Yeah.
And it will be, when they come in with whatever their revised, I don't know, because we don't have anything else from them other than the request that would have been, what we would have talked about tonight, whatever it be.
Yeah.
To get moved to the October meeting. So our October meeting is.
We don't know if we're gonna.
Well, we don't know if they're gonna table it again.
So.
But hang on, we're gonna get, all time. The October meeting.
The October meeting is on October 10th.
October 10th.
And we do have a mailing list for this project.
Yeah.
I only have a couple of emails on that right now. But for everyone's room or edification in the room, there were 2 people that I've got on that list right now. And the page had a faulty error. I ended up having to reset the whole thing back into August this morning to get it to reset.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of new documents on it now.
Yeah.
And if you would like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And if you would like to be informed about when we receive these things, hey, it's gonna get tabled, I can take your email address and put that on the list to make sure that everybody's brought up to date. That way, when the page gets updated with more information too, you'll get a little email saying, hey, there's more information on the page, go check it out. So you're not kind of feeling stuck in the dark.
Right. The other thing is like, so if we have concerns about any of the stuff that's going on, such as like, you know, it's living on, we all live on a slab there and they have to blast, how does that affect the foundation? Like, when do we bring up those concerns without feeling like stuff is happening, you know, without us knowing?
October is the next chance.
So that's it. There's like no way that we can even be like, hey.
What I would suggest is this, because it sounds like you're already on the mailing list for this.
No, I'm about to get on.
Yeah, you should be on that, because the township does a good job about putting the plans and such online, as well as you're able to see the agenda for, the agendas and such.
I did all that, and I still have like, sorry to cut you off, I really do forget about that, but it's just a lot of concerns from a lot of the neighbors.
I'm sure, and what you can do is you can look at has been submitted, because then the developer has to come in. Starting in October, unless it's changed again, and they'll come in and they'll make their presentation.
Okay.
At which point, we'll have an open meeting and you'll be able to voice those sorts of concerns, but I look at it beforehand.
Yeah.
Because you live over there, you know the topography and the rest of it.
Yeah, I know my brain is frazzled from looking over what just got uploaded.
Okay.
But,
then get together with your neighbors.
yeah,
And we'll do it for next month.
yeah, that's why we're all here already.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, I know LTS keeps pushing stuff back for whatever reason. But it just feels like I don't know, it feels like we're kind of getting the shaft on it, if that makes sense.
I understand.
Yeah, not necessarily from, anyone up here, it just feels like, man, we're coming here, we came to the last time.
I know.
It got tabled too, to voice concerns that we have, and
And we've had some that have gone on for a year or two.
I would love it, but it's.
So people keep coming every time.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know what's the right process for me? Is there like a way that I can get a list of all the neighbors' concerns? Send it in. I know Tim made a huge packet and put it online.
That's up to you guys. You're the ones that have to organize.
Okay,
And we have been,
Good.
we've been organizing, and I'm asking, you guys should have gotten a booklet that was sent to you with all of our concerns from all the neighbors. So I assume everything should have been forwarded to you. It's sent in a couple weeks ago. So I would hope that you guys are all gonna be looking at that and along with your.
We will look at the items that get sent in
Mhm.
and they get put together in a pack and Julia sends it off to us and then we'll have the meeting. It'll be October 10th.
alright.
Right, but
Unless they
in the
change it again.
in the meantime, though, there's been things going back and forth between you guys and
No.
LTS.
No,
Working on things.
no,
Okay.
we're not allowed to do
The only
that.
thing that we know is what you know, it's on the website.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're not, they can't come to us individually.
No. they
No,
have to
no,
come
no,
to
I'm
this
not
meeting.
saying that. It just seems like, we just are not, it just doesn't seem like, we're getting all the information. We keep getting kind of,
Neither are we.
Yeah.
The only thing we seen was a concept plan, we gave them some feedback, but we don't know if they're blasting, we don't know anything about what they're doing.
Yeah.
It was just, these are the proposed lines, what do you think? And I don't remember what our comments were, but we did throw some things
But
back.
you had a lot.
Oh,
you
we
had a lot.
it was like
Yeah.
the roads and this.
Right, it's a lot to do with the drive.
Yeah, there were a lot of them to drive.
Yeah.
there were.
there was
So-
98 comments from Tressler
Yeah,
back.
right.
So there's a lot of concern.
Would October 10th then be like the time when, if I have questions about what was sent back, like from Tressler? Just clarifications on that so I can understand it. October 10th would be the time to talk about that.
October 10th is when the meeting will be. The developer makes a presentation to us, we have it, and then I always have there'll be a period of public comment as well. I'm sure we'll probably have to get a paper and a speaking list and such. I'm sure.
Okay.
But we will.
Okay, yeah,
I'll let-
I was kind of in the dark about how the process.
Yes. All right.
Sir, can we have your name for the record, please?
AJ Kolba, KOLBA.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, my email is that@gmail.
Well, I'll have you write that down for me, okay?
Julia, when was this plan filed? Do we have
Yeah.
a time issue with this?
The plan was filed and accepted by the township on, stand by. Well, I don't have the date that it was accepted, but the time frame runs out on October 8th. I've already reached out to them requesting an extension, and if we don't receive one by the 23rd, it will be on the Board of Supervisors agenda on the 24th to not approve, and then they'll have to start the process all over again. I'm sure they'll grant us the extension in the meantime.
Wait, run those dates by me again, Julia?
The plan runs out on October 8th.
Yes.
So if I don't have anything by the Board of Supervisors meeting that's scheduled for September 24th,
Okay,
they'll be on the agenda to get quashed, which means they'll grant us an extension so their plan doesn't get denied.
I'm getting mixed up between the September and October.
Gotcha. Nope, I've already asked for it and they've been put on notice and we'll have that information. If we do receive that extension, it will be up on the website as soon as we get it.
Question, please.
Oh, Brett.
Hi, for the benefit of the folks that came expecting the agenda, is there a day of notification they could get if the,
That's up to the township. We just found out about Saturday getting it, so I don't know.
so it doesn't post, like, they can't look it up, is it happening today?
I don't know. Yeah, that's up to the township how they put it on their web.
Like I said earlier, that's the point of the mailing list. We got this from them and I think I got it in my inbox at about 10:30.
Yeah.
So obviously, we were on a very short time frame. I did email the people that I had contacts for to let them know that it was going to be tabled. And we did blast it out on Facebook as well to try and make people aware. But I need your emails, please. I will contact you if I have them.
Yeah,
So just as of now, clarifies this, it's not 100% that there will be any buildings built on that lot.
LTS can't do anything until they go through this and through the
That's all.
supervisor project.
Alright.
No, it has to go through there. There are all but the very first steps here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a ways to go.
Sir, can we have your name, please?
Tate Stone. TATESTONE.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Next, under old business, the draft lighting ordinance. What do we have there? Is there anything different other than this?
Yeah.
Okay, what do we
Yeah.
have? Alex?
Scott, so we,
No, let's finish up the old business and then we'll go on to the business.
the township received a technical review from the engineer. And I'd like to request the commissioners go through those comments and deliberate. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that I identified that need to be addressed by the community. I don't think it'll take too long, but it is pretty important to push this thing towards a more complete state. So if you'll, I believe it should be in your packet there, right? Yeah, from T&M. And, so if you look at that review, there, the third paragraph starts to discuss some of the technicalities. And it was identified that on page 23G, there is a provision in the current ordinance which better protects residential properties from light spillover, but it's a little bit more permissive on spillover from onto non-commercial properties, so non-residential rather. So the current ordinance is 0.5 foot candles. The proposed ordinance is 0.8 foot candles. And so the community may want to revert that to 0.5 to be consistent with the current ordinance, or they can keep it at the 0.8 as proposed, which would be a little more permissive. Is that a good way to sum it up, John? Because I think the current ordinance doesn't differentiate between residential and commercial. It just
No,
says,
the current ordinance does not differentiate, it's just you're allowed a no greater than 0.5 foot candles at the property line under the current ordinance in the Saldo. What's being proposed in the standalone is if you're adjacent to a residential district, that spillover can be no greater than 0.1 foot candles, so it's almost none. However, if you are in a commercial area or something where you may have, maybe you've got a gas station at one location, you've got a commercial building adjacent to it, you're allowed 0.8 foot candle spillover because I don't think they feel that the commercial establishments, it's as critical to limit the lighting there as it is in a residential area. So that's how the new ordinance is structured. I just raised the question whether you want to dial it back down. In the commercial areas, you leave it as it is.
That's what I was suggesting. Absolutely.
All one word out of that 2.5
Yeah.
instead of 0.1.
Except the name.
No, 0.1 is already
That's
there,
already-
it's like a residential.
Yeah, commercial.
So like 0.8.
Is what it said for the commercial.
What about residential?
That's the big, yeah, that one stays, but the commercial one should go down to the 0.5. That's what I would suggest. That's how I would suggest it.
is with regards to the height of the poles of parking lots, if they're standalone proposed. And then if a parking lot exceeds 100 continuous spaces, the township may permit poles up to 25 feet in height. If they can demonstrate no off-site impacts, the current saldo requirement is 20 feet. So.
Or that could be a problem if the property's on hill, somebody down low is looking up at it, where you would see glare, where the poles are lower, it may not be as much of a problem.
Big limit, yeah.
But they have to demonstrate that it doesn't have any question.
They would have to do it, right, they'd have to demonstrate they were kind of, I would leave it at 20 feet, to be honest with you.
So you want to increase it from
No.
15 to 20?
At 15, it's or if they needed 20, they'd have to show me. I leave it at 15 feet.
Leave it at 15.
Yeah, I would make them higher. Okay,
It just needs more of them, rather lower to the ground.
yeah, that's. Probably better, that's a better, you get, yeah, you get less spillover.
What's it more uniform? Like?
It's a more uniform, yeah, more uniform work.
So keep it at 15. Okay. The next comment is
That's what I was saying.
an interesting one. It's a good catch from TNM. Do you want to, this is with regards to the 1,000-foot setback, if you have recreational facilities adjacent to a residential district. Do you want to discuss that one a little bit, John?
Yeah, the way I interpret the ordinance, and it's really not much interpretation, it's a pretty straightforward statement. That recreational facilities for basketball, baseball, football, soccer, miniature golf, tennis, or I have a misspelling there, track, shall not be illuminated if located within 1,000 feet of a property within a residential district. You know, if you have I'm sure we have places where, you would be permitted to put in one of these facilities. And you're within 1,000 feet of a residential district. If your normal practice is to operate after dark, this ordinance would prohibit you from doing it.
Okay.
And that could be problematic, could be challenged
For whom?
for the township.
Why?
Because you are making it, if somebody has a use that normally relies on lighting at night, and it is a permitted use within,
So they want to use lighting in there. Get a light on sun.
I'm just bringing out.
Bob was telling you, that's how it works. There's sun.
What are you saying? Like,
Okay.
And the sun
Just
just doesn't usually come up at night.
yeah.
No, I know.
Let's take the case of our soccer fields right down here. They're residences, and I think it's residential district, well within 1,000 feet of the football.
But not to be a problem.
Yeah,
It seems a little general. Speaking for myself.
Like Commonwealth Park over by the high school, that field can be good. Three houses right on the backside, but then basically I would say that you wouldn't be able to play baseball after it was started.
Anybody clamoring to play at night over here?
Soccer.
Who's putting in the lights? Nobody.
A lot of times they bring out the push, they have, when they say they bring portable facilities. They're pushing for like, so they're pushing for like.
I've seen portable ones in Minnesota for it.
Yeah. You know, the ball.
Really want to show up. I haven't taken the air on the tire, but. I don't know what to tell you, I mean,
Do you want to reduce it down to
it's not up to me. It's, I have a one vote here.
What is it now? What is it, 1,000? You can
1,000 now?
reduce it 1,000 feet setback. You could reduce it to prevent potential legal challenges. Which is probably
Challenge
advisable.
500 or 250.
They get you, and remember, if they do have lighting, they're not allowed to shine onto that residential property line by more than 1/10 of a foot candle, which is almost nothing. So to further restrict it that they can't have lights at all, I think it's pretty restrictive.
Yes, think whatever you do, it's gonna be arbitrary.
It's probably better to say. As it is, you know, more likely than. Point one out, put it down.
So you want to just, you want to strike page 25 too? So page 25. Yeah, would be just, you want to just strike that standard entirely? It'd be on page 25, clause 2, in the sports recreation. That would be, strike it. Not the planning commission. Does the planning commission want to strike that?
No, Why would we have to strike it? Why can't we just? I mean, why can't we just say that it has to still,
Yeah.
it still has to conform to the foot candle restriction? Why do we have to get rid of the whole thing?
The bleed overs is what it is, stays, right?
Yes, that's all you
Like
want.
1 foot candles at the boundary.
Right.
So first of all, are those baseball fields, soccer fields allowed in a residential district?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Oh,
So, but so if you were to strike the word within residential district, but it does say cited on a non-residential.
Right, that's the.
That's usually.
Right.
Some sort of.
So within 1,000 years.
RC or something. Conservation. I would just leave it and say it has to conform with the same standards.
What did the model ordinance have?
This is borrowed from Chestnut Hill and Kublai Township's ordinance. They have,
Same numbers?
yeah, these sports and outdoor recreation land use standards were borrowed, I believe, word for word from those two ordinances. So those have been in effect in those 2 years.
Have they had any problems with it? I mean, it only happens when you start to build a baseball stadium. I gotta tell you, when I drive it up Route 80 and the lights are on, ASU track, I mean, you can see them. There's no light spillover over Route 80, but you can, it's really there. And it's bright. So I think that's the intent of that, is to prevent that glare in the distance.
Well, those are different, no, that's the second generation of this stuff.
I'm still saying it's.
Yeah, it's nothing like it was when they first put over there, it's substantially different. Lower, much better.
On page 26, it outlines the visual impact. So, they have to be. So they have to, you can keep this 1,000 feet. 3, and then, but on 6, it said you have to provide the visual impact plan. And show that how it will affect neighboring area. So I think it, pretty kind of glad
Any existing sports fields would be non-conforming, and as long as they don't do any major additions, change fixtures considerably, then they would continue to do what they're currently doing.
Where does that occur? Where do we have like?
We don't. There are any
What
not.
about even JTL? I don't know if they have
They
lights
do
there.
not.
Yeah. None of the elementary schools have lights. I know. The only other parks are here, Menacing.
Here's missing to go to that.
Yeah.
Within our.
What about East Stroudsburg High School?
That's our jurisdiction.
So if somebody was to take a non-residential property and want to put up a commercial entity that has sports, that would be where it would be an issue. And if it happens to be adjacent to a residential area, then I can see that the public would not like that. So I think it should be restrictive. So that it doesn't cause problems for the residents.
Where they would have to provide that visual impact.
But if they said, well, we're not going over the 0.1, then we're not impacting them. But then somebody could say, I can still see it, and my house is 1,000 feet away and it's bright. Good point. I say leave it.
I agree.
If it's a commercial facility that's gonna do a for-profit venture or sporting, then they're gonna run it at night, they can put walls up and a roof. And then it's an indoor facility, and they can do all whatever they want. The other component that comes with it is noise too. At 10 o'clock at night, and they're out there screaming and yelling, that noise carries.
That's. Maybe that when they're showing down.
Yeah.
I'd say leave it.
And it does, we do have a precedent with other townships that have the same thing. So it's not like we're 1,000 and they're 200.
Yeah, the precedent exists.
Sorry?
The precedent does exist.
Right.
Okay, well, the consensus is to keep it, we can keep it. The last comment here I actually gave you a handout and analyzed this a little bit because. This is an interesting one, John. You noticed you want to talk a little bit about the visual impact plan. I put together a little bit of a summary so that folks can understand and compare what exists in Chestnut and Cooball with the proposed ordinance and.
Yeah, but my concern when I saw this, is the ordinance requires a visual impact plan, which I think is good, and it's quite detailed. And it's a great planning tool for the planning commission and the board to see what is going to happen if a certain use is proposed with lighting. The question that comes up in my mind is, if you look in the section for non-conforming uses or uses that are existing, and if they meet certain criteria, they've got to change their lighting. And so if you have an existing small retail store that has lights on the side, and something kicks them into the need to change their lighting, do they have to go through this rather rigorous presentation of a visual impact plan?
John, what would kick them in?
In addition,
An addition,
29.
or if it stood idle for 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
And then someone took it over, that would kick them in.
Yes,
That type of
it
thing.
doesn't have to come through that development,
But
the non-conforming uses can expire.
Right.
Through non-use.
so the question is, if that were to occur, do we want them to go through this visual lighting presentation? And if we do, that's fine. I'm just raising it so everyone knows that it's here.
It would seem to me that if we were going by this proposed standalone, that you don't want spillover from that property to an adjacent commercial property of more than 0.5 foot candles. If they were next to a residential property, then
No, you bring up a good point, Doug. I mean, if we're gonna protect everybody, even if they're non-conforming and all they're doing is changing their light bulb, we've gotta know what it is then. That's what would happen.
John, could we add an exemption in the non-conforming section that states sort of like for these, maybe they don't have to necessarily do that.
Well, I don't know. We may want them to do it. That's why we're having the discussion. I just know that from years of experience, there's gonna be someone that comes in here and they're gonna say, it's gonna cost me $200 to change my light bulbs, and it's gonna cost me $2,000 to prepare this visual impact plan. That's what I see potentially happen. And I don't know the answer to prevent it.
One thought I had, John, was we could so the Chestnut and Cooball standards are similar, but a little, like, for example, they focus primarily on on-site lighting compliance with horizontal illuminance and uniformity. And the proposed one emphasizes the mitigation of spillover and glare. So one option is the community could adopt standards for this 10 by 10 foot luminance grid that's more consistent with the existing ordinances, and that way you still have something, but it's maybe a little less.
Sure.
That's one option that is one option, since you do have that precedent. Similar, not quite as thorough, but it provides a lot of detail for the community.
number 6 on page 26, couldn't that be expanded? So, because it says the township in determining whether potential impacts. So could it be that if it's an existing and non-conforming and they're changing the lighting? Isn't there something that can be done that won't be as restricted as it is?
Yeah,
Can be added in there?
yeah, the only thing is, and it's a little confusing, 6 just pertains to sporting and recreation lighting.
So we can move that over?
We're talking about
Right.
page 27-1, and that pertains to all other lighting, not just sporting lighting. And in number 1, you could probably add a clause in there that says this doesn't apply to minor additions or fixtures up to, replacing up to 25%.
But it should show that they have to review the lighting ordinance in order to gauge, to have some idea if they're gonna be causing, glare or spillover.
That's an option. Yeah, that's an option for community. You can add a sentence to one that simply adds clarification. Another option is you can adopt these standards from Chestnut and Kuba. Another option might be to add a clause in the non-conforming lighting section that addresses this. So there are options.
That way you prevent, someone saying, well, they didn't see it or it's not there.
So let's use an example. There's a commercial building that we talk about quite often that has some very bad lighting.
Yep.
All right, and then under page 28, under non-conforming lighting, paragraph B says that they have to upgrade it if it is deemed by the township code enforcement officer, township designee constable, blah, 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 to create a safety hazard or any possible other health or welfare concern. In my opinion, that would be a classic example of a health or safety issue. Because it's glare in the people that are driving the road. So they would have to bring that up to current standard. So the way it's written now, they would have to do that visual impact plan, correct?
Yes, I would,
And that would be very burdensome to them because they're gonna have to hire an engineer. They're not gonna be able to do it on their own. Some 8.5 by 11 paper. It's gonna be, there's some serious calculations there. So you're gonna put some serious cost on them to get that done. And then the installation is gonna be expensive. They don't know it, but they're gonna have to dig a trench and put poles along the perimeter of the property in order to get the light shining toward the property, not toward the road. So it's gonna be an expensive proposition. The question is, do we want to also burden them with the cost of the engineering? But even if we don't have the visual plan, if we just have the lighting grid, it's still gonna require somebody that knows what they're doing, creative. It's just a matter of how far do we want them to go.
and we should also read paragraph F, because I think that it comes into this whole conversation where it says, for non-residential and multiple dwellings, all additions, modifications, or replacement of more than 25% of outdoor lighting fixtures existing as of the effective date of this ordinance shall require the submission of a complete inventory and site plan detailing all existing and any proposed new outdoor lighting. Any new lighting should be required to this ordinance. So, I mean, the ordinance is acknowledging that minor modifications are going to require the funding.
Let's say there's a house across the street, resident, purely R1 zone. And the house across the street over the past few years has decided to add some, shall we say, punishingly bright, floodlights, lighting up their whole lawn because they're freaked out about robbers, bears, I don't know, something. And it's gotta be more than 0.1 spillover at the property line. Now,
That's not permitted.
it's been there for now 3 years, let's say. Driving the neighbors crazy.
Okay.
They've gone over, as Robert did with the one case, they've gone over to their neighbor and said, hey, this is keeping us awake at night. You got the lights on all the time. Please turn them off. Well, they sometimes cooperate and other times not. So just positing that this is now, it should, I believe, come under this new ordinance. Should be regulated.
I think it is. If you look under non-conforming lighting, section A,
Yeah.
says minor corrective actions such as re-aiming or shielding can bring conformity with the applicable requirements of the chapter. So the example that you just mentioned, I mean, you turn the lights off, that will bring it into conformity. Or you don't want to turn the lights off and you're gonna have to do a little bit more, put on shields or something to that effect.
And does that 0.1 count for this one, at the property line?
I would interpret this that way, yeah.
No. Great.
As you say, John, I had a little experience with this.
Yeah.
And, I think the results of just turning the lights down solve the problem in that case.
Right,
And, for a small businessman, like we're referring to on Kirksville, and through Franklin Hill Road, two garages, the two garages there. The same remedies might be fine, and I doubt if any of them would be able to afford what we're talking about, with lighting plans, or,
well, that becomes the question if existing.
and if it solves the problem, it seems, we should have some leeway here for existing ones. And even if the property line is a little over 0.1, it's questionable who's complaining. Is there someone next door who's actually complaining about this? So that should be down. And if not, it's like, we've been letting it there.
Well, has anyone here ever seen 0.1? You know how dim that is?
It's a moonlit night.
That's on a moonlit light, right? So it's really not, this whole thing started with us talking about the, night, when there's a night sky ordinance, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Ideal.
Yeah, it's a dark sky ordinance, that's what the.
Dark
the
sky
modes of
ordinance.
this are.
Okay. Just wanted to get us back to that. Good place. All right.
So if the community wants a little leeway for existing uses, the question is, how do you effectuate that? In terms of modifying what you have before you,
Can't they request for a waiver?
could have to be written in there, like, for example, in that visual impact plan, it could be, it could say something like, for existing use, this shall only apply to subdivisions and land developments or
No.
change in uses. Or
No,
Okay.
no, we don't want to do it that way.
They're-
It's
Developers
gotta
come in-
apply to everybody.
developers come in all the time and they say, we'd like a waiver because this is a burden on us.
Right.
And the waiver could be granted or not, depending upon.
So you can make it a hardship.
Well, hardship, yeah, but it's not hardship, it could be a hardship, it would have to be.
Just for like a hardship sentence.
It would be a waiver request in hearing regarding that, yes.
So it's all handled on a case by case basis.
Yeah, well, it's sort of, are we talking about this is gonna be
It's no different than anything else.
Is this gonna be incorporated into the saldo?
No,
This is a standalone, right?
it's what we were talking about.
The standalone.
Yeah.
So there is going to be a clause in this standalone ordinance that permits requests for waivers
That makes sense.
and gives, well, I don't know, and gives like the saldo does, gives the supervisors the choice to
It's
waive
gotta,
or not.
it's gotta run through here and
And then the supervisor.
I would do it that way. If we're gonna do it at all.
He's kinda giving me the, I don't know.
Who's giving you the area?
Ron's.
Why?
He just kinda raised his eyebrows a little bit. It was
Well,
a telling expression.
Doc and I had talked about this earlier with respect to how we're going to, or how the township is going to adopt these ordinances. And his proposal, or at least what he is thinking, is that the zoning ordinance in Saldo remove all of the lighting standards from those documents and say you now go to this ordinance.
The new
Yeah,
ordinance.
it's gonna be chapter 32 or whatever it is. And then, there'll be a decision as to whether you wanna do anything with respect to waivers. Because at that point, it's a new chapter, so you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I would be careful on the waivers then, because, you start doing waivers that I think is somebody indicated, and David. You start doing waivers and pretty soon everybody's going for waivers.
They're doing it now.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to allow it.
Right,
It's not us any committee allows it. We just recommend that the supervisors what we.
right.
I don't have a problem with waivers. So there may be a situation where it just doesn't make sense to do a lighting plan. They're changing one fixture in the back of the house or the back of the building.
Right.
And do it, be done.
As long as the rest of the
Yeah.
the parameters are maintained.
Right.
Yeah.
Supervisors.
Right now, we've got about 4 foot candles in here.
Then your meter's wrong, it should be 40.
I'm sure, you're right, 45 it says. It says 43 equals, this is a lux, so equals about 4 foot candles. So 43 equals.
Yeah, but when you say 0.1, it's not, you don't take your light meter out there. You turn the light, you turn the lights off, you measure it, then you turn the lights on. It's in addition to what the ambient light is.
Right.
So if the moon's shining real bright that day, it's taken into consideration.
I'm just giving you an idea of what a reading is.
Yeah.
A light tear. Scale.
This is interesting.
It is.
Where do we go with this next?
I say we leave it the way it is and then just let it be handled through on a case by case basis.
The supervisors had asked me to talk to Ron about putting together a clause to that effect, so we'll put that clause in there and then. Where you go from here, to answer that question is we'll draft this in an ordinance form and put it back before the supervisors for deliberation.
And one last quick question. Doc?
Sure, Doug.
Does our zoning officer know how to use that light meter yet?
No,
I don't know, if Robert can use it, I'm sure anybody can use it.
Oh, no. It's all right, now he knows. Does our zoning officer know how to use the sound level meter yet?
no.
Okay, I think that's, well, this is, I don't wanna get hung up on quite on this much, because this is so substantially better than what we've had before,
I'll say.
I mean, this is. I hate to say it, light years ahead of one.
So are we,
New business. All right, we don't have to do anything, we don't need a motion or anything, it's just gonna go. All right. New business, let's do.
all right.
I guess we should go to Riley zone change request and draft ordinance 253. What is this?
How are you doing, everybody?
All right,
I only made 5 copies. I apologize. I didn't know there'd be a full dais, so you guys can hear it.
okay, what is this?
This is a zoning ordinance change request.
Okay, and you are, sir?
My name is Will Neswicki. Sean Riley is actually joining us remotely from Florida because he's smart.
Here it is.
I assume I see different.
All right, tell us what you're here for.
So, my name is Will Neswicki. My business partner is Sean Riley. We are veterans of the global war on terror, recently moved to Pennsylvania from Florida. And we purchased a property at 252 Twin Falls Road, which is just over here by the Rotary behind the red, white, and blue year-round tag sale spot. So we just bought the 90 acres behind that. It's currently zoned residential conservation. We're looking to make a change there, and we are requesting that become economic development, and the reasons are listed in front of you there.
Where's the property again?
The Rotary, right here, you take a right, Twin Falls Road is on your left. It's behind the year-round tag sale owned by the Yetter family. It's the red, white, and blue building. It's, you
It's over
can't,
here by the surf.
you can't miss it. It's,
Up the hill behind.
that's correct, yep.
Not far from.
Okay,
Agritourism.
Agritourism, that's the new buzzword we're using.
So what are we looking to?
yeah, what do you have?
What are we looking?
The 30,000 foot roof.
Essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to put in 2 commercial greenhouses. We're looking to open a farm store in an existing structure that's already on the property, about 2,000 square feet right now. As it stands, the previous owners had built it and then ended up selling the property a year later. We're looking to have events and a deli inside of that barn. But essentially it's just gonna be for people to come visit, get outdoors, buy the goods and services that we provide there, which will be dairy, beef, chickens, turkeys, pork. We already have several partnerships with some vendors from other parts of the state, especially veteran-owned farms who have been struggling since the pandemic. So we have partnered with them in the hopes of selling that in our store.
Livestock gonna be located on that property?
Yes, sir.
I think not getting people in and out, I know it's tight.
It is a little tight there. I'm gonna lean on their expertise, but our intention would be to try to widen the road. It's wide enough for 2 cars now as it is.
There's no turnaround at all.
The turnout will be on our property. Twin Falls Road dead ends into my driveway.
So this is the property here?
Yeah, I tried to take you from the 10,000 foot with the dot on the map to the property and then a little bit closer when you guys get to the GIS.
So I guess I'm speaking for myself, not the board, because I'm usually very vocal about zoning changes. And what I don't like about it is somebody has a residence adjoining a residential zone, you know, piece of property that's in a residential zone, and they get changed to something else.
Mhm.
And
Right.
they didn't buy that piece of property,
Right.
they live next to a commercial facility. So
Understood.
that's the big concern.
I would say that there are 6 properties that currently touch ours that are already in economic development.
Yeah, of course they are, that's what I.
Right. So,
Yeah, but I'm looking at this R2 over here.
that's a camp. That's a campground.
Understood, but
Okay.
it's still
Right.
R, yeah.
Wait, you wanna go from the RC basically.
Right.
Conservation
permitted
all the
use-
way to economic development?
That's correct, yes.
I love what you're trying to do. You know, we're not trying to put a speed bump.
No, I don't, and that's, we're here to
Yeah.
talk about this stuff. The reasoning for it is the permitted uses, like agriculture is not a permitted use in residential conservation. I have to ask permission. It's a very expensive process, as you guys are probably aware. It's a very difficult process to go through. So greenhouses
What
is
permission do you
currently,
need to ask? Are you talking about getting a variance?
yes.
Okay.
No, he wants to change.
I want to change the zoning because
You want to change the zoning.
the conditional uses are expensive. So like agriculture, the greenhouses, those are already all covered under economic development. And then with the wedding venue plan 2-3 years down the road that we have that's in the packets in front of you, that would make it easier for us across the board.
How many acres do you have?
90. And we abut Mount Nebo Park, which is really great. We're looking to tie in the trail system there as well.
This doesn't solve all your problems, but just be aware that there's a Pennsylvania law called the acre law, which says that, no local zoning can interfere with, agriculture.
Okay. That's a good way to say it.
Existing, right?
Existing or previously existed, yeah, something like that. I don't know if there's a storm, it was on this property.
No, I moved here, got back from Afghanistan, lived in Florida. I met my partner, my buddy Sean Riley. We started taking contracts in Israel together as intelligence officers. And then, I just moved here probably in the last year and a half, living in East Stroudsburg, I just moved, so.
Okay. So you're asking us to, you're asking us for comments on the proposed zoning change, which would have to be through the supervisor.
That's correct.
All right, so when you're gone, then what?
I'm sorry,
When you're gone, then what?
when I'm gone.
Yeah, you don't own it anymore. What are you gonna do with it?
I gotta.
And now we got 90 acres of economic development that used to be the open space.
It's going wild.
Right. Well, any luck, we've sold them and eaten them all. But I would say this, like, our families, Sean and mine respectively, have staked everything on making this project happen. This is
Sure.
not.
But none of us are here forever.
Right, but the intent is and always was with farming is generational, and to make that value exist and remain for my daughter, her granddaughter, and down the line. So I think it's tough to speculate 50 years, 60 years in advance.
Right.
As to what's gonna happen.
What are we gonna do with it? It's nothing. It's a legislative request, right?
It's a
I
legislative.
mean, this isn't a plan to do.
The letter just said I had to come talk to you guys tonight.
It's a legislative request, and the request is for the planning commission to review and provide comment to the supervisors as to whether or not this is a change that should or should not be recommended. Could also say you make no recommendation, that's also a recommendation, so, your call, this is again, a request for zoning change, it's not a curative amendment. It's
Right.
anything, so this is a non-appealable decision, whatever the supervisors decide, it's not something that can be appealed.
Is this the first time we're seeing this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's quite a bit to digest.
Understood.
I agree. I would like some time to review this.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Like I said, I'm new to the process. I wore a sports jacket, but I don't know anything about it. Right? Like, I just wanted to look nice for you guys. Like I said, we're gonna depend on your expertise. You guys have been sitting in these chairs a lot longer than, anybody else. So whatever advice you have, I would just ask that you see this for what it is. It's not another Walmart. It's not another storage center. It's gonna be an ethical development of the land that promotes soil health, prevents degradation, kind of pushes against monocropping.
Did you say regenerative farming?
That's correct, sir.
That's good.
And salvo pasturing, which is where you let the cattle graze in the trees. There's no reason to clear cut land. So I don't want you guys to think of this as a traditional farm out in Lehigh Valley with 150 acres of soybean. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're looking at 25 species of animals. We're looking at 100 species of plants and vegetation grown in the greenhouses and in the property around.
I guess speaking for myself, the two concerns that come to my mind, which is what you want to hear.
Sure.
Okay, and I've already vocalized the one, which is changing the zoning. I bought my house knowing that there was other residential adjacent to it. Now you return it into something else, and I'm gonna smell cow farms. Okay. And the second component of that is what Scott already vocalized is, okay, for some reason, your chickens don't lay enough eggs and you go out of business in 3 years. Now it's an ED property and somebody goes in there and they put in who knows what.
Right.
And that has more of an impact on the neighborhood.
Understood.
That's the concern. Our goal is to keep the township as rural and nice as we can, but yet still at the same time generating business that benefits.
Right. There's nothing more rural than a farm. So I would just say, and this is just a question for the group, in the event this all goes bad, right? And we plan for those contingencies as business owners. I mean, how big of a deal is it with 2 greenhouses on the property and very little extra development? How difficult would it be to put it back in residential conservation habitat?
More difficult than you think.
But impossible or?
Well, the people that own the property would have to allow it.
Right.
And then now the property is worth more
Right.
as an ED. than it
It's
is-
actually significantly,
Understood.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're not gonna wanna do it.
understood. Right.
that's your point.
I would just like
Yes,
to say
Pat.
that, we don't know the environmental, this is all new to
Of
us,
course.
we're on the environmental council. So we don't know what the environmental impacts are, and we
Right.
sort of like to hear more about
Of
that,
course.
but not right now.
No, so, in the package, which I didn't have enough for everybody, sorry. My wife's an environmental engineer. She was born and raised in Columbia. She knows how to grow things on mountaintops and in the rocks. And it's like, again, this whole thing is designed to protect the environment, regenerate soil, because Pennsylvania farming has been done the same way for 150 years, right? And we can see where it's starting to have its deficiencies. So we're certainly. aware of
Sounds
that.
promising, I just
Right,
want to
right,
be sure we
right.
know.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
If I could kind of semi-add to something similar, would that be something that could be taken care of, certain deed restrictions of sorts, from property owner to property owner? Maybe. I know it's an attorney type question.
Yeah, it is. And it may be, your bigger thing is, let's talk with the request, which is a not insubstantial request, what you're making. To do this, and you have no idea who you're talking to, the farmer at heart that I am. You can hear my chickens.
Chicken crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Good morning.
but I would be incredibly leery to take RC land and turn it into economic development zone land. I could not possibly see myself supporting a zoning change. I could see myself, being, receptive to the various conditional uses and I don't know about variances. We don't hear those in the zoning hearing board. I think that would be a far, far easier sell than you to come in here and ask that all of a sudden 90 acres go, because look, at some point you're gonna be gone. And we're all gonna be gone, generational or not, things change. We're all living on something that used to be a farm here at Old, so. I think that this is a very heavy lift in my opinion, really heavy lift.
What other alternative does he have? Is there any other way? Is there a variance through the RC district? Is there?
But at the end, I don't know, it's up to him, so he's the one that has to look, but I'm not sure what it is.
I appreciate it.
But the easy, you know, whether it be a variance or I don't know what conditional use or not conditional use in the RC zone. And off my fingertips, but I can tell you this, of course, it's easier if you just say, you know, we have to go through all of these steps over here in the zoning ordinance. Change zoning ordinance, and then it's real easy.
Right.
All right, I would be loath to do that, to be perfectly honest.
So the other concern is Mount Meadville Park.
Right.
Right, we abut the park.
And just because you're not going to do it, and I have no doubt that you're 100% sincere in your idea, by the way, which I love.
Thank you.
Okay, but I agree, but 30 years from now. Something else. can be
Also,
there.
following up on the comments of your Commissioner Strong. He is correct that, you know, again, 30 years, 25 years, who knows, maybe 5 years from now.
Right.
This is no longer viable. Now you're in the ED zone and here we go.
Yeah,
Like an alcohol center be permitted there.
yeah,
All those other kinds of uses that ED will now allow. And with 90 acres, you can put a bunch of those uses there that would not be perhaps so good to the residential neighborhood. So
Yeah.
that's more of a concern than the request that's being made, because the request that's being made is done, you know, honestly, forthrightly, and trying to do the right thing, but we can't look into the future, and you as commissioners who are to plan this township should try to do that as best you can.
This is a point of information. Agriculture is allowed as a conditional use in the RC zone.
okay, so there's a different way. You can take a look at the ordinance.
I
Okay,
just didn't know to what degree, and like with the greenhouses, with them being, this is essentially a commercial enterprise.
yeah, but
we
it's
really
not
started
really, it's
bumping into
kind of
things.
an adjacent sort of,
The-
you have an attorney?
That's the direction you want
I'm
to.
sorry?
You have an attorney help
Yes,
you
we
with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. we have
The
a term.
question then becomes, can there be a variance of an agricultural, agricultural business with its commercial territory?
And I just have to be honest,
Well, there will be, there would be, that's,
the
but
variance.
that would be
cost is
understandable,
tremendous.
and in keeping with the use requested, that's, I would, that's my.
Understood. I just, every variance, if we have to get a variance for certain things, like I said, the wedding venue is important as we want to share this place with people. And at 3,300 or 3,600 a pop as a small business, that can be pretty dangerous for us. The 1,500 for the zoning change, and I guess maybe that was our misconception after having conversations with people here. Like I said, my impression was that would have been perhaps an easier route to go. Again, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I want everyone to shop with us and get their chickens, and you already have your eggs. You don't get any.
The problem is that the ED zone doesn't list agriculture.
At the bottom is the greenhouses. So that was what we were looking at.
And that's
Yes.
conditionally used for
No, primary. Purpose.
nursery garden.
Yeah. And then, like I said, with the storefront, so, like I said, I appreciate that.
Love the idea.
Appreciate it. It's been a long time coming, but this is our,
Well, like I said,
this is our first interaction with you guys, so, you know.
And we don't, we're not required for this request to take any action.
Right.
So it's just here, you can ask to,
We can ask whatever.
you can ask to have it put back on the agenda at a future look if you want.
Okay.
You wanna go back and take a look and in other words, giving you some feedback, by all means. I don't think it's news sufficient, I think we just leave it continue. Right, I don't see.
As long as we can hold on to it and read through it.
Yeah, I don't see why not, you know, you do want.
You have more info on the website?
Yes, we do.
Was that
The website.
Yeah, we have a pretty extensive website.
It's on the card.
Do you have a facility now? This all speculative.
No, so we purchased the home, which sits on the front third and the middle third, if that makes sense, of that map in
Yeah.
front of you there.
Yeah,
And the previous owners, like I said, they constructed this beautiful 2,000 square foot pole barn on the property with a great loft upstairs, and we saw it, and the back just screams to be a commercial kitchen, the front screams to be a store. Upstairs would be like the outdoor recreation activity, like outfitter.
but you don't have another Liberty Tree Ranch
No,
somewhere
sir.
else, in another
Nope.
state.
Oh, no, this is our first shot.
Your first pine tree.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I like.
Sean and I tend not to quit.
One thing, Mr. Chair, and that is, according to the information that I received from the township, this is to be on the supervisor's agenda for October 8th for official action. Do you believe that is ambitious?
I think that's
or-
very ambitious.
Yeah, that's very
So would the planning commission recommend that it not be on for that day?
I would recommend that not.
Well, then you're basically asking us to give a recommendation either for or against.
Yeah, forces us into
Yeah, it forces us to make, which we can do. But I think the suggestions that you were given would be more prudent for you to pursue.
i.e. conditional use.
I would say, if I were you, I would probably ask to have all of your dates moved like 60 to 90 days or anything.
Okay.
And then, because this is still open, then you can come back in, kind of retool your ideas, you know. Make a board or two and then go from there.
Is there an opportunity for me to offline with some of you guys on a one-on-one to kind of get some?
That I don't do.
That's right, no.
That has to, yeah, this is a public, it's a public.
No, I got you, no, it's fine. I'm just glad I'm not a real developer.
Okay?
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks.
you do your stuff, all right?
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you very, very much. All right, looks like we have two plans that are just to be accepted, right?
Yeah.
The water gap wellness, whatever that is. Coming up, where is that? Here it is. So this is just a plan to be submitted or accepted for next set of reviews, correct?
Correct.
Is it complete enough to, for you to take those next steps,
Yeah.
John, is it?
We're recommending you accept it for review.
Anybody hear from them? Okay. So. When was it submitted to us, Ron?
What page
August
is, are
27th.
we looking at in here?
Okay, more.
Township got it on August 27th, so this would be the first time it's gonna go.
This will be the first time it's coming up, so
Or
today,
accepted. And then, now the 90 days will start.
and now the 90 days start.
Start.
All right, then I'll make a motion that we accept the water gap wellness, preliminary land development plan, complete this, project SMTW-R 0016. That it, be accepted for a review and to start to be time clock. In seconds? Seconded by David Strong. Any discussion from the commission? Anybody? All right. And all in favor? Okay, it is accepted. So that starts, so the clock starts today. Now, like we have another one. Joseph Widmer, preliminary and final land development. Anybody here? You're here?
Yes.
You're here for go, huh?
Give a quick description.
Yeah.
Please, eh?
This is a half-acre site located right on 209. You may be familiar. There's a gate there, a driveway.
Those trucks are there?
So equipment, yes.
Over by Birch Acres, okay.
Gold
Yeah.
Street is right here over by Birch Acres. This is the land development application, just to formalize that parking lot, 1,000 square foot, building proposed, it's a tight lot, stormwater management here, central sewer connection out from Gold Street and on the site well. Again, this is.
So that way he's gonna run his free
business,
his
yes.
free business center.
And this is just for acceptance, if you get it.
It's just for acceptance, right? Is everything complete there for you, John?
Yes. Make a motion, we accept the plan.
Okay, motion by David Strunk to accept the plan for review.
Second.
Seconded by Doug. Anybody? Anything? All right, all in favor? All right, Nate. Clock starts.
It starts again today, just like the other.
Okay, next, informal sketch plan for 637 Bridge Road. What is that? All for you?
Yes.
You need a branch office here. What is this?
Dr. Georgiou and his wife, they have an option on this property. It's owned by Mr. Schutzman. It's located at the intersection of Buttermilk Falls and Seven Bridges Road. This is an old pizzeria, Gap View Drive on that side. Is everyone familiar?
Yeah.
The property is a unique shape. It has, parcels over here and a piece that actually goes over and is part of Buttermilk Falls. That's properties outlined in two parcels in red. We're proposing to develop, this part of it, nothing proposed over here, on that side of the street. There was a plan that was approved, before for this site. It looks, like this, Sunny Bridges Road. There was a PennDOT permit that was close to issuance, but it was not ultimately issued yet. To realign Buttermilk Falls Road, or align a new driveway with Buttermilk Falls Road that would come out on Gap View Drive, providing access to the property at this point. And it was just proposed as a private driveway. It had 26,000 square feet of retail space on that plan and parking to support it. It is on lot, sewage disposal proposed and an on lot well. There was an NPDS permit issued for this project, and that NPDS permit has been renewed for the stormwater management. So the land development plan is no longer valid. The PennDOT permit is that was never finalized, but the NPDS permit is current. We looked to sort of investigate this property and the layout. And so we have a new zoning ordinance that's been passed, a new SALO ordinance that's been passed since that original design. And in order to come into compliance, better compliance with it, we propose to reduce it to 1 story, so it's 13,000 square feet instead of 26,000 square feet. And so that has a substantial reduction in the parking. The septic system here, we did verify, needed to be 50 feet in the absorption area from the stream. There's a little stream that goes down on here. It's about that wide. That septic system, the absorption area has been adjusted to make that 50 feet. And we've done our best to go through the ordinances and try to make this previous design fit on this site. And the reason that's critical is our NPDS permit is grandfathered. It allows very little flexibility. We have to maintain the existing BMPs, and we've reduced impacts to do that. Meanwhile, trying to meet all the requirements of the new zoning and the new south. As we looked at this, looking at this driveway, this is really a desirable driveway location to eliminate this Gap View Drive. And even if this remains private, we would expect that this through traffic here, if you're coming down Gap View, rather than come out here and try to get out at that point, you would come to the site and go to the traffic light and get out there. We think that's a major benefit of the project from a.
So you would allow that?
Well, yes, we would allow that as a private. We think it's probably more appropriate that it would become a township intersection and connect through the township road. And we'd also be willing to consider that.
Well, that's a dangerous intersection there.
Down here.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have a lot of unique situations. We have a little stream that's this wide here. Under current NPDS permit, you would have 157-foot setback, which comes out to.
It's not quite this wide. It comes out from behind my house.
Okay, how wide is it?
It's more than that.
Okay.
Depends on how much.
It varies. Some places it's wide, some places it's not wide. But the point is, there's a buffer that would be associated with it under current standards, which would basically eliminate either the realignment of this roadway or the development of that property. So we're trying to, we've met with the Conservation District. We have talked with them about minimizing impacts and proceeding under the NPDS permit, which was renewed. I think it's good for another 3 or 4 years. I think we've worked that out with them. We've submitted a scoping study with PennDOT, just to revisit that design and explain what we're doing, and generally have good comments from them. They said,
it'd be nice if you realign this whole intersection at 90 degree. We didn't do that when we rebuilt it, but it'd be nice if you did that, so we will need some support to say, if we have to realign this, this existing intersection at 90 degree, it just really, it pushes us into that stream and pushes us into impacts here that we would feel that we could support for this project. So everything comes in at a 90 here, it's just this one comes in kind of, they just tweaked it at the end.
Well, it's that's a traffic light controlled intersection.
It is, correct. So we think it's functional as it is proposed here. Again, it nearly gotten to completion previously. It's just fresh eyes on it. And that was a comment and they understood. They said, if this can't be done, we recommend some other things. So I think they realize that's.
Nate, where you tie into Gap View, below that, are there any driveways on that, between that point and down the plan?
Yes.
On the other side.
So if you look here, yes, there's driveway there, and above, next one.
Yeah.
The White House there. Right. So there are some, yes. We're not necessarily need to or proposing to vacate it, but provide options for better access. So this site, in looking at it, has a number of challenges. If we were to make this a township road, then it actually becomes, we already have frontage on two sides. It's really kind of a triangular shape. We've got a front yard here, a front yard here. This would add some additional setback requirements. Again, we have this.
Those are two light gray, I can't make that.
These are storm sewer areas, or stormwater basins, stormwater control. The site drains down this way, so this is where we do our stormwater management. Would involve infiltration, so both quality and quantity control.
So close to the stream, you have to infiltrate?
Yes. Yes, that's part of that quality, measures required by the NPDS permit.
So Dave, what's the purpose of that 26,000 foot building?
But now it's only a 13,000 square foot building, but it would be retail. We would keep the option open. We might be able to do some small restaurants. Right now, we're pretty restricted because we only have one lot.
So there's two buildings.
One building, 13,000 square feet.
Ah, I see.
It was formerly a 26,000 square foot. building. We've reduced the scale just to try to meet, better meet, the parking requirements and
Right.
landscape requirements,
Right.
and current requirements of the ordinance, while still having enough to support the project. I mean, there's a lot of improvements for this project, stormwater, realignment of this, road.
Yeah.
So what if you were to make it 2 stories, it's still 13,000, and then that allows you to push everything down the plan a little bit?
That would, but again, first floor retail, first floor retail is much more marketable. So we need to keep this in a marketable form. So we're trying to balance cutting the size, meeting all the requirements with having, the ability to do this road rail.
Uh-huh.
So we put together, just to give a scope and, we're trying to make decisions about how we proceed with this project. We think we have, concurrence with the conservation district that we can continue the stormwater management based on what we've already approved. We're working with PennDOT and we think as long as they will agree that we don't have to reconstruct this side of the intersection and just do these improvements, that we can meet their requirements. But we did have a number of, township ordinances that, we will need some relief, from. And I don't want to go through all these. I want to give you a high level just to get a sense of, I think we get a sense of what we're asking and what we're trying to accomplish. John, the first comment was about a wetland. There's a line type down here, which is not clearly labeled. That's actually the floodplain. There's a floodplain piece on the FEMA map that comes from the back in this up. So that line type is a little, it's not clear at all, and that's just floodplain. We do not believe there's wetlands within the buffer area, just the stream. We have some slopes to deal with. We can look at those. We did ask for relief on the parking spaces. Right now, we have 10-foot wide parking spaces. We put in here that we might want to go with 9 foot because if there's something that we would rather see, going down to a 9-foot space may give us flexibility on one of the other requests we have. So right now, we have parking adequate with a 10-foot wide space. If we require variance going down to 9 feet, we may have flexibility to accommodate some other part of the design with flexibility. Parking setbacks are difficult. We were able to shift the building to meet the building setbacks, even if this is a township road and has a front yard setback. What we do have, because they're all front yards, now part of the ordinance is trying to get parking behind and, things like that. It makes it hard on a site with 3 frontages, so, that's, somewhat unique to this property where we have basically three lot fronts. And these are variances, these would go to the zoning hearing board.
Yeah.
I just raised them as to give you a sense of some of the challenges we have with the site. The subdivision and land development ordinance, John, I don't know if there's anything in particular that, again, I don't want to go through all these, there's some street alignment. This met PennDOT requirement, but it may be a little steeper than what your ordinance provides for. But you know how, if you're sitting here, how steep that is going on, we're gonna put that, the intersection has to go here and we have to get from here up to there, so there's some slope.
And I think that requirement would only pertain to a road as opposed to a driveway.
Okay.
So is the reason that we took a look at this is because we're aware of how bad the intersection is there with Gapview Drive. And there is a potential to realign Gapview Drive through this project. So we did take a look at it. We had a meeting with Nate, and he filled me in on all this. We recommended that he bring this all up to you for your recommendation. And we also wanted you to know that if you think it's a good idea that Gapview Drive be realigned, that the applicant was gonna need some relief. Because going from a driveway to a road creates more restrictions on the site. So the question is, does the township want to give some relief to those restrictions in the interest of creating a safer intersection?
You're talking the intersection of Gapview and Seven Ridges.
Right.
Yeah, we would like to see something change there, because there are more accidents there. All the time, serious accidents.
So if there were to be a public street here, we would actually create a right of way that could be dedicated to the township, and that makes it a street rather than just a driveway. So, but if you look from the previous design, part of the changes we've made, this had parking backing out into this driveway. So in reducing that, you can see we've had a pretty substantial improvement to the traffic flow. You're not backing out into this roadway. Look at these side by side. We've tried to make quite a few traffic improvements in general, additional landscape area to improve that. Previously. So that's the gist, that we have a number of things that we would need. So I think what we're looking for is, we would typically not come in with this much, asking for this much relief. It's a site that has a lot of constraints on it. It's a site that, with the access, there's really only one place to put that access. And is that something that you would?
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Technical difficulties.
I'm done. And that's why we're here. I don't know, John, if you want to hit were there any highlights you wanted to hit on this?
No, I think you covered them.
Right.
I was also at the site for many years, and, the intersection was one of our worst.
Yeah.
It's also on the road in the township, which takes the most traffic and which keeps going up. The last I saw it was 19,000 vehicles a day, but I think it's probably somewhere in the 20s by now, or some several years ago. So, we're very anxious to find a solution. In fact, another possibility would be closing off the end of Gapview Drive completely and having people have to use this.
Or right in, right out.
Right, right in, right out, as we're hopefully doing a music center someday.
Still waiting for the signs. Where are the signs?
But
The signs still aren't up, I'm just gonna drive, so we're not waiting for it.
we probably can't afford to take them out.
No, the signs aren't up. Supposed to be no left turn, anyway.
As a close resident a resident of that area, and, Scott also knows this. The waterways and are all connected around that corner. I mean, we've got little streams running on our property and he's got streams, and so it's more complex than just saying, okay, we're gonna get approval to do something about that particular little creek. They're all connected. And if we're, as I say, living on that, almost on that, driveway here, it's very concerning, to have anything that gets in the way of those, wetlands and, flood plains and that sort of thing. And we haven't looked at that from an environmental committee point of view, environmental council point of view. Of course, I'm prejudiced, but, I think there's a lot to be thought about here than just we change the previous plan. And certainly anything that can improve that, intersection there is greatly needed. I almost got whacked again just last week because people come too fast there when they're trying to get on or get off. My only way to go. So, I'm just concerned about all of this. I think it's too much, too soon. And it takes a lot of thought. And we around on both the environmental committee, environmental council, and we residents need to have some more time to think about this.
And we understand that. This is just a sketch plan. We're starting on the project, but we have some important decisions. I mean, any project is a year-long process. It's a lot of money to invest. So we're here early in the project, trying to get as much input as we can, because this is almost gonna be a partnership, on this project. If you look at the map here, this is the piece of the property that's not being developed at all. Here's the Buttermilk Falls,
Yes.
here's that.
I'm familiar with it.
And while this little stream does come out here and it is protected, we're keeping some trees and things along the stream itself. Most of the rest of this property has already really been developed at one point. And that's a balance we have to do. Is it fixing, there's really only one place to fix this driveway intersection, and it's connecting from point A to point B. And that's really, we've done that with as minimal impact as we can. You have to start here and not say, obviously you gotta line these lights up, and we've taken it to the far corner. So there's not much else we can do to minimize impacts.
I appreciate your efforts.
But it's informal. We'd like to hear your, but this is a long haul and a big investment. If, we're looking for the township to say, we don't,
Elon, yes?
Who do you envision as tenants, and what makes you think that you're gonna be able to fill this space when Smithfield Gateway is sitting empty and they haven't been able to get anyone?
Good question.
Do you want George Wallace is here.
George.
My name is George Long. I'm with SCR Commercial Real Estate. I represent the seller in this and John and his wife in the purchase. I always look at this corner. I'm an investor in this area. I own a plaza. I own commercial residential places. And I always picture this place being, I know that Sheets looked at this. We know that Turkey Hill looked at this. It just wasn't working for them. And I always pictured it being a plaza. And when you say what kind of tenants, they're not gonna be tenants that are gonna be,
What's a plaza by your
like a
definition?
strip mall. Like 10 units. Let's say there's 10 units, okay? And your typical tenant is gonna be, it could be a nail salon, it could be a flooring store, it could be an accountant, it could be,
But it's all hypothetical. Do you have anyone committed?
we can't commit because we don't have anything to show them. But I can guarantee you that will fill up.
But Smithfield Gateway happened.
Yeah. Smithfield Gateway is that? It's not even, I don't know.
It's a St. Luke's site.
So Wawa's going there, and if you compare the rates to a small plaza compared to Wawa or that area, that's why Dunkin' Donuts hasn't gone there, because they want like $30 a square foot triple net. So those numbers don't work, right? So something like this will allow a small businessman to stay alive and open his own little business there. What are your concerns, may I ask, could you make?
Aesthetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just aesthetic.
Brett,
Can I,
go ahead.
can I stand there? Wait, I looked at this, obviously. Can I see the other, the picture part? Okay, we live up here, you've got your drive. And if we wanna go from here down to the Menacing, we wanna cross 209 and go down into Menacing Hills. We're gonna come across here and we wanna continue straight. Okay, if we go through the lot as he's proposing here, will put us out on 209, we're gonna come to this intersection, we're gonna need to make a left. There's no center lane in 209 at this point. There should be a light and a center line, my opinion, to make this a safe intersection. Same thing for here, people are gonna, you know, coming north, it's the same thing, people have to make the right here and then make a left and go back through here. That's one point.
So if I could just suggest, I don't think PennDOT would approve 2 lights back to back.
Right.
You know,
So that's
it's
a
just-
problem.
And there's already a light there, so I mean, you could go, you know, first, you got Buttermilk Falls to get to this. Right? You could get around that.
Well, there's a village here. People are gonna want to be able to transgress the village. The other thing is there's a water thing. Where does this water go? Does it go across underneath and down here? Does it go into the creek?
This water comes down like this.
Okay, all right, so this stream varies in flow greatly.
Right.
From all the way to the top of the hill. Sorry. Am I? You didn't? Okay, sorry. So this is not a little stream, it can grow to.
And it's interconnected.
Right.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
Connects right through here.
So this is also gonna feed there, the stream grows. So
And there's quite a bit of elevation here. You can see these are 1-foot contours. So the site sits, 10 feet above that. So I don't think it's a flooding concern. We do have stormwater management, there's some key requirements. So it's a very simple. I understand.
constraining the stream is not, I would warn against that, it's.
We're not impacting,
All right.
we're staying out of the streams, and allowing that to flow, just collecting stormwater, managing it, and putting it back where it originated.
I do want to get Lori that time, so. Hang on, Brett, sorry. Lori, is that you on Zoom there?
Yes, it is.
Lori,
Can you hear me? Here I am. So I had some questions. Yeah, of course, overlapping with Brett about going to Menacing Hills. You're coming up from Menacing Hills.
Yeah.
You've got to get on the highway. You've got to get on 209. Then you've got to stop at a light, make a left, and go all the way back up to Continue and back. You drive. Curious if Gapview Drive couldn't be rerouted to behind the liquor. Can you hear me? Sorry, I'll wait.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, behind the liquors could, maybe Gapview Drive could be rerouted to join the Shawnee Road, so we don't have to do all this stopping, starting, It seems, I wonder if there's a way to do that. That was one question. The other one is I looked at the concerns that you were asking for, and there was a whole lot of relief from landscaping. Relief from landscaping at the parking lot, relief from landscaping at the building. We live here. And, we really don't want another strip mall, another ugly strip mall. We're all for small business, but can this place look classy? We don't want to, this is not Middle Smithfield. It has never been Middle Smithfield. And we don't want it to be. We want it to have the Menacing Hills, which is less developed, less full of nail salons, and more beautiful, more elegant. So I'm concerned about what building is there, and I'm concerned about the landscaping or the lack of landscaping that he's asking for. So that.
Thanks, Lori. And at this point, I do think we are going to move this along, since this is a sketch plan. You're asking for a lot of variances or significant number of variances and a lot of different waivers, correct?
Yeah, there were quite a few with stormwater, which I think it's consistent with the DEP. I think those are stormwater design,
How many?
on the stormwater,
How many waivers total? I'm curious.
36, well, there were 36 comments, so probably about 30. Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. I think at this point, then, if you're gonna, you already have a significant problem with pins. You gotta deal with that. They're always.
Right, I think we have, I mean, dealing with it is a challenge, we do have a scoping meeting in, this design was almost approved before, so we do feel we can get through PennDOT, but I don't
Get
say
through is
that.
not the same as get through when.
Right,
Okay.
we understand there's a large challenge there, but this was almost
Right,
approved.
but I do want to, I think it's, I see what you guys are trying to do. I think it's time to kind of move along, since it is in the sketch plan, then when it gets submitted, we'll go through the detailed review, but three dozen waiver requests a lot.
I understand.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, one question. Do any of those waivers go away if this is simply a driveway as opposed to a road?
Some of them do, yes, some of them are really related because we have greater right of way here, but certainly not all. There are a number of them that are really related to just the fact that we need to get a driveway through there. It's the only safe place to put the driveway, so some of them go away. I would say the majority of them do.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Next thing. Recommendation draft ordinance 252 bed and breakfast out there. What is this? I don't know what I'm talking about this one. What is it now? There's Robert. It's the bed, Julia, all right. What is this bed and breakfast?
So this started, there were a couple of references to the E1 and E2 zones in our ordinance, and searching for those we find. In order to find them, I wanted to do some updates for that. What you see in front of you now is complete, except for the fact,
Township.
we had a bit of a misunderstanding with air treatment and something is fixed. So a small note on this, that you will see this again next month. Because under section 6, letter E, it's been reworded to state the owner's primary residence shall be located at the bed and breakfast or on a contiguous property of the bed and breakfast. The owner shall reside on property or the contiguous property of the bed and breakfast when guests are on site. We thought we had resolved the concern from the planning commission, from the Monroe County Planning Commission, and we hadn't, so we're re-advertising this with that language. The concept of this is to permit bed and breakfast with these requirements out of permit, and make sure that the owner is required to live on site at the bed and breakfast or on a contiguous property.
Sounds reasonable.
So Ron, they're gonna bring this back next month, then. It's not on supervisors.
It's
Yeah.
not on the insofar as that the supervisors plan to consider adopting this on their October 22nd meeting.
Oh, so it'll be long before that.
Yes, so you're going to see all of this again on the 8th. The notice that I got that we had with Eric happened right before the Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday. So you were originally scheduled to review this, and it was supposed to be passed with the Board of Supervisors meeting on the 24th. With the change now, we need to re-advertise and resend it and provide the Monroe County Planning Commission 30 days for review.
Okay.
Where's bed and breakfast permitted? Where are they permitted?
Oh, Dave was asking, where are bed and breakfasts currently permitted? Yeah.
And what's the catalyst for doing this ordinance?
It is in a long string. Do you remember when we were meeting and doing those massive meetings for different retail lodging uses, et cetera, et cetera?
Okay,
We've been off potentially a little bit more than we could chew in one spot, so we shrunk it down and they said, hey, let's move forward with this one.
okay.
In response to your question, from this ordinance is going to allow bed and breakfast in all zoning districts.
I'm looking up the
Is
schedule
this
now.
conflict at all with the short-term rentals?
No, because bed and breakfast require the owner to be on site or contiguous to them. And the Monroe County Planning Commission feels that this is separate enough from short-term rentals to not run afoul of any of those problems.
But it still could become problematic depending upon the customers that they have.
As
The
can
biggest
anything.
complaint with short-term rentals are the, the party houses and.
Right, and part of allowing the bed and breakfast to exist is that the owner is going to.
Understood, but, it's already allowed in all districts now? Ron, is that what you're saying?
No, I don't believe so. This ordinance will allow.
Will allow it. Gotta think about that.
I think now, we only have one semi-functioning bed and breakfast that I believe is in the R1, which is Stony Brook.
That's down on River Road.
River Road.
Yeah.
At the corner of, Wadsworth, but they're only open to, guests would be. If they want to stay, otherwise it's not open. I don't think there's any other functioning in the township.
There's one off of Cherry Valley Road.
Where?
There's one off of Cherry Valley Road.
That's two, 1.5. That's better. But, the biggest problem we always had, biggest problem we always had with short-term rentals. And the reason we passed the ordinance ban was that the owners were not there, there was no one watching over, controlling it. And, this is a different thing, and we've always had bed and breakfast, it's just, we don't have any real, one functioning.
Yeah, understood. Okay.
To answer your question, I'm looking at the schedule of district regulation now. Bed and breakfasts are a conditional use in R1. They are a conditional use in R2. They are a conditional use in RC. And they are principal permitted use in the RE district.
They're not any deep, no.
Not that the great computer can locate.
The RE, what's that? Robert?
That is the resort district.
Ah, yes, right. Thank you.
So it has to go through a conditional, an actual conditional use hearing anyway.
Except in the RE.
Permitted. Okay. All right. We'll talk about this again in a minute. And the last thing you wanted,
September the 26th.
yeah,
And the board wanted to ensure that there was a second date, so at their meeting last night, they also proposed October 17th at 7 p.m. If September 27th, if September 26th does not work for you. This would be a joint session with the Board of Supervisors to review the sign ordinance, which Alex and Supervisor Albert have been meeting weekly to go over and craft.
That's October what, Julie?
September 27th or October 17th. Both are proposed for 7 p.m.
September 26th or October 17th.
Thursdays, they're Thursdays.
17 would be easier for me.
Yeah, me too.
Have one kind of bar association meeting at 5 o'clock and. Do you want to do what time, 7 o'clock on the 17th?
Yeah.
At 7 o'clock?
If that works for you guys, the board is amenable for either date, so.
I'll put it, I'll make sure I'll make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
October 17th.
Yeah.
Okay, I will get that up and advertised then. Alex just gave me the signed ordinance for going to format it, so it's a little bit cleaner for
Yeah,
you.
let's do that. That'd be
It
easier.
will be up on the township website and sent to all parties by the end of my workday, on Monday, September 16th. So you'll have it by 11:59.
Time order.
So not the 26th.
Not the 26th, so we got October 17th. All right,
Appreciate that.
so good. 7 o'clock, we're gonna do it, right?
7 p.m. on October 17th.
That sounds terrific. That could be a sufficient amount of day for one evening. Do we have anything else to do with the order? I shouldn't have said that, Brett. What's up, Brett?
I'm a little chagrined that the gentleman's proposal did nothing to alleviate the problem of Gapview Drive and 209.
That's understand. I understand. You know where my parents live.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it got.
Yes.
You know. All right, everybody, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Wait.
Oh, wait. Anybody second? Yes, Christine.
Question. We've had two groups here tonight who bought property and then came and said, hey, bend yourself into a pretzel and let's do
All
it.
the time, happens all the time.
That's common.
And is.
Actually, that's common. Well, actually, he didn't buy, John Giorgio didn't buy the property. He has an option on the property.
Right.
At which point,
What,
there'll be a contractual spot where I'll
The
either have
Gapview
to.
Drive property, the old pizza place property?
Yeah.
That's the option.
Yeah, Luigi's.
Okay, so at least he's coming to ask before he purchases, so.
Yes,
that's-
That's their problem.
Yeah, that's their problem.
Right,
And he can do that. He can propose his plan. He has an equitable interest in it by virtue of the option contracts.
sure. I guess I just hope that the powers that be here kind of stand behind the ordinances,
We live here too.
yeah.
Yes,
It's just poor planning, so I guess I just was asking if that happens a lot.
it happens, people. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. All right.
Thank you.
Great.
Plus the pay.
Yes, that's right. The pay is still on. Anybody gonna second that motion? Second. All right. Oh, James, we'll put James on. James second the motion. All right. We're out of here. All in favor.
Say I